So lovely to see you all this morning, this beautiful sunshiny morning. Um, today I'm going to do a counting practice with you. Counting in mindfulness is a very ancient tool, very ancient technique. It's in the same way that we use any of our senses to bring ourselves to the present moment. And the reason we do that, just as a recollection, is to stop our minds either rehashing what's happened in the past or predicting what might happen in the future. Often both those things turn out to be kind of more catastrophic than is necessary, let's just say, and that can feed the worrying mind, and as we know, that can then lead to stress. So in order to bring ourselves into the present moment, just for these tiny moments at a time, we use an anchor. And throughout these practices, or if ever you've practiced mindfulness before, you'll know that sometimes we use, often we use a combination of anchors, but quite often we use bodily sensations as anchors. So feeling our hands or our feet, feeling sensations in our face or wherever it might be, to bring ourselves to the present moment. Sometimes we use other anchors such as sounds. We can even use taste. We can even use, as we're having a coffee in the morning, we can notice our taste. And we can also use feeling sensations. And feeling sensations come in different forms, but one of the bodily felt sensations is, as I'm sure you all know by now, is to use the breath and the sensations of breathing in the body. And we do that really because it's just easily accessible and it's with us all the time. So counting our breathing is just an additional layer of anchoring, really. So welcome everyone, if you new people joining. So we're going to do that in a minute, but the counting of the breathing is quite simply, it adds almost a layer, a kind of auditory layer internally. So we're not, well, unless we particularly want to, we're not breathing out, we're not counting, sorry, out loud, we're just counting internally to ourselves. And the combination of focusing on the physical sensation of the rise and fall of the breath in the body and that internal little auditory trigger for us, those two things work really effectively for a lot of people. As with all of these practices, if what I am speaking to you doesn't resonate, then just resort to maybe just focusing on the physical sensations and the breathing, or to something, or maybe a physical sensation in the body that isn't related to the breath, like the sensations in your hands or your feet. But this particular one is apparently what sort of 2,500 years ago, what a lot of the Tibetan monks are asked to start off doing, is counting their breath, and I'll talk us through it. So I particularly like this one because I think that it just helps my type of brain. I just like having something to sort of hook it onto, and I've done quite a lot of work with, I mean, it suits all sorts of different types of people, but I particularly did a group of work once in an accountancy firm. They all love this one. I wonder why. They just like numbers, I think. But it just suits a lot of people. So we'll give it a go. So welcome anybody who's just joined. This is going to be a 15-minute or so mindfulness of counting of breathing practice. So as always, I would encourage you to find a comfortable posture, somewhere where you can feel alert but relaxed. And it can help to have your feet flat on the floor. It doesn't matter if you've got them folded underneath you, that's also fine, but it can help to have your feet flat on the floor. It just kind of grounds us. And as you know, I tend to practice with my eyes closed, but you're very welcome, if it suits you better, just to lower your gaze onto something that's not going to move, preferably. Okay, so we're now going to start our mindfulness of breathing, of counting the breath practice. So settling in and first of all, congratulating yourself on being here. Well done for being here. And spending these 20 minutes just on you, on self-care. That is just a fantastic thing you're doing for yourself right there. Noticing as you sit here, the room that you're sitting in. So just becoming aware of where you are at this point in time and possibly any sounds that are around you, and just letting those drift into the background at this point. I sometimes say it's almost like we're imagining that whatever we've been carrying around with us up to this point today, we're imagining that in a big rucksack and taking it off and leaving it at the door. And we're just bringing ourselves here now to spend a little bit of time just on us. So settling and taking, to begin with, a few deep breaths. Just in your own time, just 2 or 3 slightly deeper breaths. In through the nose and out through the mouth, or out through the nose, whichever suits you better this morning. Just to help us land here this morning. And then allowing your breath to return to its natural rhythm now. And breathing very comfortably and naturally in and out through the nose. And we're not trying to change or alter the breath. We're just allowing our breath to breathe itself naturally as it does all day and all night. And with each out breath, just becoming aware of the body softening slightly as we sit here. So imagining your jaw softening and releasing, and your shoulders softening and releasing. With each out breath, becoming a little bit more settled and a little bit more relaxed. And noticing to start with our feet on the floor, becoming aware of the soles of your feet, wherever they're resting. And just noticing out of curiosity whether you can feel your soles maybe more at the front of the foot or the back of the foot or the sides, or possibly more in one foot than the other. Not needing to change anything, but just noticing what you notice right here, right now. The edges of your feet, possibly. Becoming aware of any sensations that you can notice in your toes. And maybe you can't notice much, and that's fine, but just becoming aware as best you can of any sensations in your feet, tops of your feet, possibly even your ankles. Sensations of temperature, any tingling, numbness maybe, or maybe just an absence of sensation. And there's no right or wrong, it's just being curious about what you notice. Bringing your full attention to this present moment right now. And now bring your attention up to the hands, wherever they're resting. And the hands are quite a good source usually of sensory information, a lot of nerve endings that we use all the time in our hands. So becoming aware of fingers and thumbs. Can you notice them more on one hand maybe than on the other? The palms of the hands, what do they feel like right now, the palms of your hands? And the backs of your hands. Maybe even your wrists. Just becoming curious about what you can notice. And all the while, obviously, it goes without saying in mindfulness that our minds like to take us off on little thought journeys throughout this process. And that is totally part of what mindfulness is. So that's completely okay and not a problem at all. And we just need to learn over time and with practice to catch those thoughts as they drift off and take us off on that little journey, and gently and firmly bring us back to the present moment. So bringing us back to one of these sensory pieces of information that we're focusing on. Doing that over and over again throughout the practice, that is mindfulness. Bringing yourself back again to the sensations of the hands, whatever it is that we're focusing on right now. Now becoming aware of that gentle rise and fall in the body as we breathe in and out very naturally. For each of this, we may notice this in a slightly different place. So you may notice it around the belly area, the gentle rise and fall of the tummy as we breathe in and breathe out. Or we may notice it more in the chest area, the shoulders even, collarbone, or even around the back of the body. Tiny movements or shoulder blades, down the back of the body, down to our lower back even as we breathe in and out. Because our breathing is a 360-degree thing, so we even can sometimes get a gentle sense of breathing through the sides of our body as our ribs and our diaphragm gently move as we breathe in and breathe out. How do you know that you're breathing right now? What can you feel in the body as you allow yourself to breathe very naturally, with its natural pace, natural rhythm, breathing in and out right now? And it may be you get that sensation in one particular part of the body, or it may be you get an overall sense of your body breathing itself. And that's fine. And as you feel the rising sensation, I'd like to begin to introduce some counting. So as you feel the rising sensation, count 1. And as you feel the falling sensation, count 2. And as you feel the rising sensation again, it's 3. And the falling sensation, it's 4. So we're going to count just up to the count of 10. Counting 1 on the in-breath, 2 on the out-breath, and so on. And just see how far you can get. And if you notice that your mind has wandered and you've lost count, don't worry, just bring yourself back to whichever number you were on before. When you get to 10, just start again at 1. And if you forget which number you're at, doesn't matter, just start again at 1. Just linking our gentle in-breath and our out-breath, sensation of the rise and fall, to a number in our mind's eye, or an internal voice, if you like, as we breathe in and out very naturally. It doesn't matter if your numbers are really slow, that's fine. It doesn't matter how quick or fast, we're not trying to change the breath. We're just noticing the breath and attaching a number to each in-breath and out-breath. Combining the rise and fall of breathing with counting very gently up to 10. And knowing that it's not a problem if your mind wanders or drifts, just gathering your attention again and bringing yourself back to that number. It's as if we're just following the breath with a number rather than trying to fit our breath into a number, if that makes sense. Just following the natural breath, whatever it's currently doing. Imagining a number associated with that in-breath and with that out-breath. Whatever way works for you. Remember, not worrying if the mind wanders off. Perfectly normal, just picking up at the number that you left off at. Or if you can't remember that number, just starting again at 1. Thoughts can sometimes have a sneaky habit of sort of weaving their way into our number counting. So sometimes as we're counting, there are thoughts mixed up there as well, and that's also fine. So if you find that happening, I just invite you to choose to focus just on the counting. It's almost like we have to tell our minds to back off with the thinking and just saying, I'm going to choose now just to focus on the counting. And the breathing, the felt sensation of the rise and fall of the in-breath and the out-breath. And now just bringing the counting to a close and focusing once again on just the rise and fall of the breath, wherever that you notice that right now. Belly breath or in the chest or around the back. And with the last few breaths of this practice, the last 3 breaths, I'd like you to focus on something that you are grateful for today. Think of 3 things that you're grateful for today in your own time. Large or small, doesn't matter, just things that you're grateful for right here, right now. And then once again, noticing your hands wherever they're resting, your feet on the floor, and becoming aware of the room that you're sitting in. And when you're ready, opening your eyes as we bring this practice to a close. Having a stretch, if you feel like it. Well, thank you, everyone. That was a breath counting practice, and I hope some of you found that helpful. It's just a slightly different way of anchoring our minds and preventing our thoughts from wandering off too much into the ether, as they tend to. So lovely to see you all. Thank you so much.